Yes, the footage that I'm going to show you is completely real. In 2013, Elisa Lam was vacationing in the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. Every day of her trip, she would call her parents and check in with them, but on January 31st, those calls had stopped and she had vanished. For a while, nobody had any information on her or knew where she went, but then that February, the LAPD released this footage of her in the elevator. The footage shows her acting very strangely, peering outside the door, opening, closing the door, and appearing to talk to somebody who is not there or invisible people. Whatever was going on in this video raised a lot more questions than there were answers. Theories range from psychotic episodes to demonic possessions to even unknown assailants just out of the camera's view. Right when this was happening, the hotel guests noticed something very strange with the water supply. When a guest tried to take a shower, the water would come out black first. Another hotel guest said the water tasted sweet and disgusting. Finally, an employee went to the roof and checked the hotel's water storage tanks. And in that water supply is where they found the naked, decomposing body of Elisa Lam. The strangest unsolved mysteries from each state. Today we have Alabama. This was literally the only photo of her. Anyways, this is Ruth Purcell Morphy Dorsey. She was 69 years old and she was a Sunday school teacher in Opelika's First Baptist Church. She would always go to work, she was very punctual, but then one day in 1974, she just did not show up to church. Everyone was worried because this was just so out of character for Ruth, because you know anybody named Ruth wouldn't do this. They report her as a missing person to the Lee County deputies and they go to her house on Route 1 to check on her. When they get there, they find the front door is completely open and the side door is unlocked. She had 3 dogs and they were all huddling in the corner of the bathroom together. And her bed was made and appeared to not have been slept in, even though her neighbor said that they saw her pull into her driveway the night before. If she was there the night before, why wasn't her bed slept in? Her Bible and her Sunday school lesson were all on the table and her car was found in downtown Opelika with the keys in the ignition. Her purse, her wallet, and her glasses were all there and nothing seemed to be missing. And there have been no withdrawals from her bank account since she disappeared.
Maybe you can solve this case because what the police say happened doesn't make any sense. The night of January 12, 2010, police officers found Joanne Romaine's car left at a church, and across the road were tracks in the snow leading to a lake, so they concluded she walked into the water to drown. Even after her body was found 70 days later, nowhere near where she supposedly entered the water, police ruled it a suicide. To do that, she would have had to cross 4 lanes of traffic, walk through the snow in high heels, then get into the water in January in Michigan, water that wasn't deep and had no current, to drown herself. My theory is that it wasn't suicide at all. It was murder by someone who knew how to stage the scene, someone like a police officer. And there are more unsettling details to this case you can find on Unsolved Mysteries Volume 2, watch now only on Netflix. Using the hashtag Unsolved Mysteries, let me know your theory.
The strangest, and I do mean strangest, unsolved mysteries from each state. Today we have Mississippi. And the story is long with a lot of information, so keep up and pay attention. This is a picture of Christian Andreacchio when he was 21 years old on February 26, 2014. He allegedly killed himself. Allegedly, but I don't believe he actually did. He was from Meridian, Mississippi, and worked on the Magnolia Marine in Vicksburg, Mississippi. The Magnolia Marine is a huge boat and basically a transport system. He was the manager and made quite a bit of money, at least to buy jet skis, 2 cars, and have enough money left in his bank account. Now, he was 21 and he was dating a 17-year-old girl named Whitley Goodman. Whitley did not have a good home life and she actually had to move in with Christian and his family, but his family really did not like it and they said that she had to leave. So Christian and his good friend Josh got an apartment together and of course he said that Whitley could stay with him. He also said that Whitley could drive his BMW. Christian's job required him to be on the water 30 days straight at a time. Right before he left on February 22nd, him and Whitley started getting into really big fights and he said that she had to move out and she couldn't drive his car anymore. When he was on the boat, he started getting upsetting calls from his friend. Part 2 is on its way! These strangest unsolved mysteries from each state. Today we have Arkansas. On August 23rd, 1987, Kevin Ives and Don Henry both went hunting together in a wooded area. They were near some train tracks, which was also very close to Don's house in Bryant, Arkansas. A train was making its usual night run to Little Rock when the engineer noticed something very strange. There were 2 boys lying on the train tracks, but despite all of the honking, they wouldn't get up or even move a muscle, and so he tried to emergency brake, but it didn't work and he ended up hitting them and killing them. A medical examiner determined that they were really high and they had smoked about 20 joints. But when both of these boys' families were told that, they didn't believe it. When they were killed, they were covered in light green tarp with Don's rifle next to them on the ground. Don's family said that he would have never left his rifle on the ground to get scratched, and that no matter how high they were, they would have woken up to all of the honking and the noise. Kevin's family hired a private investigator, and every time he would try to talk to the cops, they'd be so unwilling and resistant to talk to him. A different autopsy was conducted, and it turns out they only smoked 1 to 3 joints, and they were dead before they were even hit.
Morbid Facts, Part 93. In 1981, 24-year-old David Kerwin was driving through Yellowstone National Park with his friend Ronald Ratcliffe and Ronald's dog Moosey. At one point, they parked their truck and got out for a closer look at one of the hot springs. But Moosey suddenly ran toward the water and jumped in and started yelping. Although many people warned him to stay away from the near boiling water, David dove in headfirst and attempted to rescue the suffering dog. He grabbed Moosey and made it close to the edge before letting go and sinking until his friend pulled him back out. David was now blinded as the hot spring had melted his eyeballs. And when someone helped pull his shoe off, his skin came off with it. He had sustained third-degree burns to 100% of his body and died the next day after living his final hours in agonizing pain. Weird Disappearances, Part 2. In the year 2000, 18-year-old Zeb Quinn went missing after finishing his shift at a Walmart in North Carolina. His car was discovered 2 weeks later in a restaurant parking lot under mysterious circumstances. Its headlights were still on, a big pair of lips were drawn on the back windshield with red lipstick, and a live Labrador puppy was found inside the car. But otherwise, very little evidence has been found, and Zeb Quinn remains missing to this day. In 1979, a 13-year-old girl named Diane Dye told her friend that she was gonna run away for a few days. Since her parents were getting divorced, Diane thought this would bring them back together. So she did what she said but never came back, and she remains missing more than 40 years later.